Well, if I could have your attention, please feel free to continue eating and enjoying your dessert. We are going to go on and start our program. And as we do start our program, if you would please give our friends at Fresh Ideas a big round of applause for a wonderful, wonderful luncheon. This is, like I mentioned, an amazing Founders Day luncheon. They all are, truly. But this one in particular, and when it comes to making introductions, the easiest way to probably do this would say, everyone just stand up and make your own introduction. But we all have to go home by next Friday, because that's how long this would take. But we do need to make some introductions to say, we have some amazing folks here. Thank you for being a part of it. I know you all have already felt that at your table. Some of the folks will actually be introduced as we do part of our awards and we present those. And to some degree, as I've been writing the additional notes and as Kristen's whispered in my ear and other folks have said, oh, by the way, so I'm not sure there's an order to this other than this is how we wrote them down as we were thinking of them and recognizing folks as they were. Long story, really, really short, because this is how God's economy works. Dr. Kane invited me to come speak the Sunday after homecoming. This is a very Dr. Kane story. The Sunday after homecoming, even though he's here on Saturday and then he drives back to Kansas City, has me speak at Judson Baptist Church in Kansas City, and he wants me to speak on Judson, Adoniram Judson, with him sitting in the room, who's the expert in Adoniram Judson. I'm like, Jerry, this is a bad idea all the way around. But it wasn't. God blessed. It was a wonderful idea. As I'm standing in the church, I got there an hour early, looked on the wall downstairs, and it had the American Baptist Church's International Ministries missionaries, and there's Christy Engel, distinguished Judson alumna, right there with her picture. And then I go up in the church service, and in the bulletin, it said, missionaries that our church supports and that we pray for. And listed was John and Amanda Good, who should be back over here at this table. John, if you'll wave, or thank you. And so they are living on campus this semester, or this year, as missionaries. They are missionaries in Hungary, and we're so blessed to have them here. And that was part of also the church talking about how they pray for Judson University and with the connection with the Goods. It was really wonderful. So we're glad that they're here. We also, during Founders Day week, have a great Baptist Heritage Chapel on Wednesday. We had another remarkable chapel presenter. Pastor Paul Alexander was incredible. Paul is here. Where did I? Paul's right up here. So give Paul a big round of applause. Thank you, Paul. Great message that you had. We have our 2023 Golden Eagle Award recipient, who will be introduced a little bit later on. But Gillian Stewart Wells is here with her husband, John, and her daughter, Lane. So welcome. Glad you all are here. Gillian is so humble. I'm not sure she was going to show up, but I think all of you all helped coax her into being here. So we're thrilled that they are here. I do want to recognize our Board of Trustees. This is trustee meeting weekend. This is our big fall Board of Trustees meeting. I want to first start with emeriti trustee, honorary trustees, and former trustees. If you fit that category, would you stand up, please? Emeriti, former, or honorary trustees, so we can give you a big round of applause. There we go. Thank you. And if you're a current member of the Board of Trustees, would you stand up? Current member of our Board of Trustees. Thank you. One of the real blessings of Founders Day weekend is that we do welcome back really a wonderful number of former faculty and staff members. Both faculty and staff emeriti are with us, and former faculty and staff members. So if you're a former faculty or staff member at Judson, would you please stand up so we can say thank you to you? And Ms. Didier, you have to put your hand down. I'm going to recognize you in a minute. You have your own special category of recognition. So, oh, it's right here on my next note. Our former First Lady, Joan Didier, is with us. So give her a round of applause. A big thanks from my perspective to our university cabinet. Not only are they great colleagues, and they just do incredible work, and they have amazing teams that do incredible work, from our faculty to our staff to our partnerships that we have, but they also help keep me sane in the insane moments, and so I appreciate their comfort and support and encouragement. And so when I read them off, if they would stand and then hold your applause till the end, which, by the way, we as a chapel did not do well at during the program today. I think it was the students. They were just so excited about clapping. So our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Lynette Poteet-Young. Our Vice President of Business Affairs, Sarah Taylor. Our Vice President for Advancement and Alumni Affairs, Kristen Egan. Our Vice President for Student Success and University Registrar, Jenny Guth. Our Vice President of Campus Operations, Nick Salzman. And our Executive Vice President, Nikki Finneran. Please give them a big round of applause. We're also very fortunate to have with us Reverend Dr. Karen Walker Freeberg. Dr. Freeberg is the interim president of Northern Seminary, which is our parent institution, and we welcome Karen back. Karen, good to see you. Welcome back. And I think, if I remember correctly, you stood when we asked parents of Judson graduates, 2 Judson graduates, so thank you for that investment. We appreciate that. Our Chancellor, Dr. Jerry Kane, like I mentioned, is back from Kansas City, and it's a blessing to have Jerry here. Jerry, welcome back. Glad you are here. And then I also want to recognize, if you're a member of the Spiritual Council, the Alumni Board, the Architecture Advisory Council, or the Friends of Judson, would you please stand so we can say thank you to you? Thank you. And the reason that is important is because after the luncheon at 1:30, we will have our leadership summit where we invite back all of our volunteer leadership and some other thought leaders and people in the community, and we really just sort of give a state of, hey, here's where things are, and here's where Judson is, and look for their help and creativity. And we know that's part of planting that mustard seed, because the benefit of that is in a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, a year from now, how God starts to work and all of these connections start to pop up. So we'll have a big volunteer leadership summit at 1:30 and kind of go through, this is where Judson is, and for them to give us a Friday and lunch and time and everything, we're deeply appreciative of their investment of that time and that energy. So thank you very, very much. We also have a special group of students with us. The Roser Scholars serve as the official ambassadors to Judson University. They attend a lot of our events. We have an amazing program that they're a part of where we focused on our Christian values, community, which we define as citizenship, which focuses on America's Democratic Republic, and then human flourishing, which is defined by the economic structures that we live in, which means living in a capitalistic free market structure that we have, and we encourage them to put all that together and to help make our world a much better place. And the Roser Scholars come from all different places, all kinds of majors, and our amazing group of young people. So would the Roser Scholars stand up so we can give you a round of applause? Thank you. And I could have included in there Matthew and Kaylee, because they help advise and oversee and work with that, so thank you to them as well, too. And then certainly for me, my bride, our First Lady, Cindy Kroom, thank you for definitely keeping me sane and focused on things I need to be doing. Thanks, sweetheart. So at this time, we are going to present actually 3 very special awards. The first award that we are going to present is one of Judson University's most significant award that we can bestow on anyone, and it is the Golden Eagle Award. We have several Golden Eagle Award recipients in attendance with us today, and as I read your name, if you would stand, and then kind of look at our team, help me make sure I got everyone in case someone came in. 2021 recipient, Tina Robotham. There's Tina. 2016 recipient, Kristen Stombrace. And 1997 recipient, Joan Didier. The significance of the Golden Eagle Award is that it is an honor to those who have advanced the mission of Judson above and beyond monetary gifts. The Golden Eagle Award has been awarded to various friends of the university who have a heart for Judson. The award may honor an individual for their prayer support, public advocacy, volunteerism, long-term employment, behind-the-scenes student support, Christian commitment, political support, effective project management, or other non-monetary activities. And the reason non-monetary is in there so many times is what we're trying to say is they have a heart that has been poured out for Judson University, which is the most precious investment we could ever hope for. And we are deeply, deeply appreciative about that. This year's Golden Eagle Awards recipient, and I'm going to ask Dr. Gillian Stewart-Wells to come to the front, as well as our chair of our Board of Trustees, Reverend Dr. Darrell Jenkins, so we can present that. But this is the part Gillian likes least, where she comes front, and we read nice things about her, and she has to sit and stand and stare at you all while we do this. But Gillian read the awards during commencement, and the students would walk up there and just sort of like nervously stand and look out in the audience, and Gillian did a great job of recognizing them. So Gillian, now it's your turn. And I have the official bio here, and it deserves to be read and to be spoken, because it is impressive in terms of what she has accomplished and how she has blessed Judson University, but it also gives a little bit about her background in case you didn't know about her journey. Born and raised in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Dr. Gillian Stewart-Wells gained university experience in 5 states: Illinois, Hawaii, California, New York, and Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure John had something to do with some of those along the way. Before returning to Illinois in 2005. Prior to arriving at Judson University, she held teaching and administrative positions, including Vice President of Curriculum and Instruction, Dean of Students, Department Chair, and Program Director in both CCCU schools and secular institutions. Dr. Stewart-Wells earned her PhD from Claremont Graduate University in Claremont, California, and completed postdoctoral work at Harvard University. As a researcher, she engaged in a 2-year study at the University of Chicago's Consortium on Chicago School Research. Her overall scholarship agenda focusing primarily on social justice and leadership in higher education. After arriving at Judson in 2008, Dr. Stewart-Wells served as a professor in Judson's undergraduate, master's, and doctoral programs, held a 3-year term as faculty moderator, and for 8 years, she directed the Doctor of Education and Literacy program. In 2013, she led efforts to earn the Higher Learning Commission approval for Judson's first doctoral degree. Dr. Stewart-Wells joined the cabinet as Judson's first female provost, chief academic officer in 2018. In that role, she oversaw the following divisions, centers, and departments: art, design, architecture, liberal arts, sciences and education, professional studies, worship and the performing arts, the RISE program, Office of Institutional Research, Office of Diversity and Spiritual Development, and the University Library System, which basically meant let's make sure the president doesn't mess these things up. Give them to Gillian. In addition to working with the associate provost to recruit, hire, and develop Judson's faculty, Dr. Stewart-Wells led the team that created Judson's most recent strategic plan, 2021 to 2026. In the spring of 2023, I approved Dr. Stewart-Wells' proposal for the university's first Center for Teaching and Learning. Gillian and her husband John live in South Barrington, Illinois, where they are members of the Barrington United Methodist Church. She enjoys traveling to visit her 3 grown daughters, is what it says here. I'll let you all judge that. So knowing how silly your mom and dad can be. So cheering on the Chicago Cubs and engaging in physical fitness, she aspires to improve at golf, but doesn't hold out much hope. John could be the expert on that. And then it says here, and your personal thoughts. And I only have 3 personal thoughts, because my personal thoughts would take the rest of this luncheon. Number 1, she is the most complete, talented higher education administrator I've ever worked with, period, in my 30 years anywhere. Remarkable. Number 2, she is the most brilliant communicator I have ever seen. The way she worked the hallways and made sure people were heard and understood is surpassed literally by no one. And number 3 is, I cannot keep up with her sense of humor. Her sense of humor is so good that we would try witty badinage back and forth in dialogue and emails, and I would send one and she'd send 2, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't keep up with this pace. Far wittier than I am. But she's an amazing professional, and it's a pleasure on behalf of Judson University and the Board of Trustees for Dr. Jenkins to present to her the Golden Eagle Award, and then Gillian, you get to come up here and share a few comments. Gillian Stewart-Wells.
My secret to communicating is having the microphone way down low. It is really nice to be back in this room and seeing so many friendly faces. I can't believe that it's only been a couple of months. So much has happened, and it is terrific to be back. So you know that segment on Sesame Street where it talks about which one of these things doesn't belong here? And there's the quadrant with the 4 boxes, and one will have an apple and an orange and a banana and a bicycle. Well, I'm feeling a little bit like a bicycle right now with this award because I think about Joan Didier and Tina Robotham and Kristen Stomries, who are just legends at this institution. They were students here, longtime faculty, longtime staff, first lady, nurse, and I'm feeling a little bit like I have the imposter syndrome that I am receiving this award. I'm grateful for it, but I'm feeling a little bit like a bike. Just want to let you know that. So the last couple of months, my husband John and I have been doing a lot of discerning about what our next steps are. And we recalled a couple of weeks ago about one of Mark Twain's famous quotes about the 2 most important days of your life. The first one being the day that you're born, and the second one being the day you find out why. And so we've been talking a lot about why. And I think about those of us who are in leadership in higher education. And if you're a leader in higher education, particularly in a small, private, liberal arts institution at this time, do you know why? No, really, that's a legitimate question. Does anyone know why? It's been a hard couple of years in higher ed. But I don't have to ask why God brought me to Judson, because shaping lives to shape the world isn't just a tagline for students. I know that everyone in this room, whether you are a faculty member, a staff member, an administrator, a board of trustee member, that all of you have been shaped in some way by this place. And I am so very grateful for the 15 years that I spent here being shaped by so many people in this room. And so many of you continue to shape me. I'm very appreciative. So I am grateful for that award. I'm thankful, Dr. Kroom, that you invited me here to accept it. I am thankful to the cabinet who potentially approved that nomination. And thank you to John for being a cheerleader. I am enjoying figuring out what comes next in our lives. And thanks to Lane for traveling here and representing your sisters once again. But thank you to all of you for being a part of my shaping for this, as Dr. Jerry Kane used to say, this good school. Thank you very much.
So Gillian, we're going to order a little golf club and put it at the Eagles Talons. You can tell John it's a golf trophy. The golf game will prove right away when you have a golf trophy. The next 2 awards are really pretty special, and they are a bit of a departure for our Founders Day luncheon. And with any luck at all, they're going to be a bit of a surprise to some extent to the recipients. And they're 2 very, very different awards. The first award that I would like to present, or the second award overall, but the first one in this category, is I would like to invite Dr. Jerry Kane to come forward. I would also like to invite our Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Lynette Poteet Young, to come forward. And that's your all's cue to come on up here. Stand right here. And I would like to invite Varghese and Alexander Mathai to come forward as well, too, and stand right here in between these 2 individuals. Because what's going to happen in the next few minutes, and I'm hoping, Varghese, this is a surprise. Are you feeling surprised right now? That smile tells me maybe you are. Or maybe he was sly enough to say, okay, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? We sadly lost Varghese's wife and Alexander's mom, Ronnie Mathai, this past summer. A brilliant scholar and faculty member, beloved by literally everyone. And Varghese and Ronnie had the distinction of being one of the very few, if the only Varghese, husband and wife team to ever be Fulbright scholars literally at the same time, which isn't impressive. When I tell other presidents that, and they're like husband and wife at the same time, they find that quite amazing. And that's because they are an amazing couple. And with Ronnie's passing, it just was a heavy blow to our community, and she is much, much beloved. And so, on behalf of the faculty and staff of Judson University, as well as the Board of Trustees, it is our honor to present posthumously to Ronnie Mathai faculty emerita status at Judson University. And so Lynette Poteet-Young is going to come read the proclamation, and then Dr. Kane is going to say a few words, and then Dr. Kane and Lynette will formally present to you the proclamation, and then we'd love if Alexander and you would share a few words.
From the trustees of Judson University, Elgin, Illinois, a resolution concerning Dr. Ronnie Mathai. Be it known to all who attend, whereas Dr. Mathai has earned a bachelor's and a master's degree from Kerala University and a doctorate from the University of Minnesota, and whereas Dr. Mathai has been an educator for more than 30 years, starting in Kerala, India, then in Minnesota's state system, Wheaton College, and at Judson University. And whereas Dr. Mathai won the prestigious Fulbright Award from the U.S. State Department, and whereas Dr. Mathai was chair of the Associate of Arts program for the Division of Adult and Professional Studies since its inception, developing curricula and teaching adult undergraduate and graduate courses, and whereas Dr. Mathai developed coursework and taught courses for students in elementary and secondary teacher education, supervised numerous practicum students and student teachers, and whereas Dr. Mathai has presented at numerous conferences, published multiple articles, taught workshops, and mentored colleagues in curriculum development, and whereas Dr. Mathai created the Adult Chapel program, providing a space for adult learners to worship together and share their faith. And whereas Dr. Mathai served on the boards for Galilee Ministries in Darien, Illinois, Teachers Who Pray in Chicago, Illinois, and friend of Northeast India University in Dimapur, India. And whereas Dr. Mathai served the Judson community faithfully with quiet humility and sacrifice, consistently praying for her students and colleagues. And whereas Dr. Mathai was a faithful and supportive wife to her husband of 39 years and loving mother to her two sons, and whereas Dr. Mathai was a woman of deep conviction, passionate faith, limitless love, and strong belief in her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Therefore, be it resolved that Dr. Ronnie Mathai be declared Professor Emeritus at Judson University with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
On Founders Day, let us acknowledge that Benjamin P. Brown should always be remembered as the founding president of Judson College, now called Judson University, because he really was the founding president. He had the vision, he had the dream, he could see the future of the college program that would come from the undergraduate division of Northern Seminary plus the correspondence school of Northern Seminary, and they could gather its own academic banner, and thus Benjamin P. Brown is the founding father of the school. And Dr. Karen Walker Freeberg, I hope you notice that in our logo we still notice 1913 as the founding of the seminary, and 1963 as the founding of Judson College. So out of that came the Ben Brown Library. You got me, the first founder. The Ben Brown Library building, which now houses a business office and everything else. And also the Ben Brown Professorship, Because he was a writer, the trustees established the Benjamin P. Brown Professorship at Judson University. It was to honor this man who had written over 20 books and who had started a writing conference that attracted real writers and general writers and wannabe writers and publishers from all around the nation. And in the 1950s, he was probably the hottest writer in religious life. Dr. Stuart Ryder was one of those persons who got this endowed scholarship. The trustees endowed a professorship for Benjamin P. Brown. Dr. Ryder retired. He moved out of that professorship. He did not move out of the campus. Are you aware of that? And so the search began to find the next person to fill that role. Dr. Stuart Ryder had been our first Ivy League professor. We were so proud of having an Ivy League professor. So to one-upmanship that, Dr. Simmons said, let's get an international professor. And so the search began. And we're so glad that we found Varghese Matai, who came to be a part of our faculty and to assume that role of the professorship endowed under the name of Benjamin P. Brown. The rest of the story goes a little farther because Benjamin P. Brown's wife needed something to do as the First Lady, Cindy. And so she became the first art professor. She became the first chairman of the art department. She became the first associate professor of art, and then the first assistant professor of art. She was the only art person there was, in other words. She also directed the gallery. And 35 years later, the School of Art, Design, and Architecture exists because of Rachel Brown, who was the first art professor. Now, if I were having time, I would go ahead and move to Doc Ryder. And I would have, Doc Ryder had an assistant that helped him. It was Lily the cat, right? But let me move to this fellow who we call to come be a part of and hold the Brown professorship. We were so proud to have Varghese Matai. We were so lucky to have Ronnie come. She had an advanced degree. My, we were pleased with that. That would help on accreditation list, and that would also help, you know, in human resources doing insurance for everyone. She had energy. Everybody wanted her. We had Varghese sitting over here focusing on English and writing, but Ronnie could do science. Not only could she do science, she could also do education, the education department. Well, not only could she do science and education, she could do adult education. Adult education people needed her. Everybody clamored for Ronnie. And somewhere along the pike, Dr. Simmons suggested they both apply for a Fulbright scholarship. They had to apply separately, all right? And so Ronnie applied and Varghese applied. And I don't know how that works, but as the bard of the college, I'm going to assume it happened this way. That one stack of applications went with committee into committee room 3, and another stack of applications went into committee room 8. And in room 8 was one Matai application, and in room 3 was another application. Taking the bard's prerogative, I'm going to announce that Ronnie was the first Fulbright scholar. And her partner, her soulmate, 10 minutes later was voted a Fulbright scholar down in the other committee room. It's wonderful to be the really good college that has the first ever Fulbright pair appointed by the State Department of the U.S. government. On this Founders Day, pears add spice to life. Peanut butter and jelly, cheese and crackers, milk and cookies, Thelma and Louise, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But on this Founders Day, Judson University is enriched because of our pears, Ben and Rachel, Jim and Joan, Harm and Arlie, Jean and Cindy, Besanson and Erickson, Thompson and Klossman, Doc and Lily. And today, let me add another pair, Varghese and Ronnie. Truly doing the work of the church in higher education, truly Christian, truly college, truly shaping the lives that shape the world. Deo Fistus Labora, Christus Lux Mundi. Congratulations on behalf of Ronnie.
You certainly planted a surprise quite well, Dr. Kroom. I knew I was invited, and I'm grateful for the honor, but it was like the thief's claim. The thief had stolen an ox, huge animal, and he was called for trial, and he said, I am not the true guilty party. I just stole a rope. And they investigated him further, and he said, I stole the rope and I only needed the rope, but there was a cow at the other end. So I discovered the cow only after entering your presentation. I can't respond adequately to the heart movement that was in the words of Dr. Kroom and the good doctor here as well, Dr. Kane, CNC. When when the heart is full, you know what happens. Words of you, and I may blunder into nonsense because I also have a little shift depending on the hour of the day, the diabetic reactions that take place. I don't think anybody can really exaggerate the impact and the powerhouse control that Ronnie had on my life, both spiritual, emotional, and intellectual. Whatever work I was doing, she always knew. She knew the content of it, the nature of it, the requirements of it, and the drive of it. She herself would acquaint deeply with the subject matter. Thus, I was not going to talk about this, but this book of mine was just released last week. It is a culmination of 10 years of research work. It is about India's greatest Christian reformer, whom I call the Milton of the East. And whatever Milton has done in England, this man has done for India and for Christianity, global Christianity. So this is an absolutely must-read work for multiple frontiers of people. And I call her, in this book, I haven't dedicated a formal page for it, but I call her my pro bono editor. And she has read every letter of it. Now, when the book came, it just got delivered to my house the other day. I get limited number of copies from Bloomsbury, London, which is a publisher. And the first thing I did was I had a copy on the coffee table, and her portrait is now on the wall. And I asked her, "Did you see the book?" I attend church. We attend church in Chicago. We drive for simple reasons, to connect with certain good people near the airport. There's a fellowship there. We've been going there for more than 25 years. On our way, I listen to high quality gospel hymns. I mean, very high poetry quality. And all of those hymns are written by the man I call the Milton of the East. He has written 300 of them. I have taken 20 of them and have translated for sampling for the Western world. I'm thinking, I told my son, Alex, I don't think there are too many women who would be interested in this quality of poetry and music and devotion purposed in it, other than his mother. And she would be so completely absorbed in it. And if you don't follow that, you would hate the person who asked to sing it. But Simon was a musicologist also, great scholar, knew, some say 17 languages, but no less than 12. I'll go on with it, but I don't want to. But the moment is great. I am grateful. Judson has never withheld any favor that I have requested. And such great sympathy moved. You are an overflowing well, Dr. Kane. And Dr. Kane, Dr. Kroom, you are the next ally, not equal in position and equal in will. And I'm grateful. I don't know how else to adequately acknowledge all the good that I'm still a beneficiary of. May the Lord remember your kindnesses forever and ever. I'm grateful to be one in the Judson family. Thank you.
Thank you, Varghese. Our next award holds similar emotion, and at this time, I would like to invite Dallas Colburn to come forward. This is also a surprise to Dallas. And I would also like to invite the president of our Alumni Board of Directors, Carissa Dock, to come forward as well, too, to help with the presentation. So last year, the Alumni Board created the Honorary Alumnus Status Award to recognize those who did not graduate from Judson University, but those individuals who hold the following traits: deep service and support for Judson University through deeds and actions, display an enthusiasm to share experiences that promote the university, and demonstrate high moral character in alignment with Judson's mission. A little over 2 years ago, we had a tragic accident where 2 of our students passed away in a car accident. One of those was Dallas Colburn, or DC, as his parents and his friends called him. Dallas was the only son of Dallas and Tammy Colburn, and the only child, and they were totally surprised when he decided to move out of the house and move to Judson University to become a student. And they've often referred to Judson University as Dallas's second home. and the friendships that he made here. After that tragic accident, Dallas and Tammy took on a new importance to Judson University. One simple story exemplifies that more than any accolade we could use to describe Dallas or Tammy, as wonderful as they are as people. But not too long after the accident, we had welcome weekend, and we invited Dallas and Tammy just to come be present with the incoming families. And I asked Dallas, would you mind saying 2 minutes of just, hey, this is who we are, this is what we experienced, and this is why we still love this community. And I think Dallas's comments, no surprise given his precision as a cyclist and other things that he does in his life, and one of the few people I can geek out about music that actually knows the artist I'm talking about. Dallas was precisely at 2 minutes, but it was perhaps two of the most powerful minutes I think I've ever heard, where he briefly told the story and said to the parents, if we can do anything to care for you, please let us know. And afterwards, families came up to him, including one family that had also just lost a child. And that allowed Dallas and Tammy to minister to them as they were bringing their other child to Judson University. And so that has been their heart as they work with the university to create Hope Chapel, which we hope not only recognizes Nate and Dallas, but also other individuals that have been a part of our community that have passed away onto the kingdom, and a place where we can go and have peace and just be prayerful, and they've been an integral part of that. So the alumni board agreed well over 2 months ago to award honorary alumni status to Dallas and Tammy Colburn. Congratulations on being two of our newest alumni. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. I've never been accused of being a quiet speaker, so I probably don't need that. But to say that this is a bit of a surprise would be an understatement. My wife and I had absolutely no clue whatsoever. Unfortunately, my wife is not here today. She, a couple of days ago, she started getting a rash, and this morning she woke up with red all the way up her neck and part of her face, and I said, you're going to the doctor, and I'm going to Founders Day. So, unfortunately, she isn't here, but what Dr. Krum said earlier about our son and his time here at Judson, Judson wasn't just a school to him. He told us, and some of you have heard this story before, but I think it bears repeating. We were talking to our son one night after he had been here for a couple of years, and we had just recently moved to a new home. And we said to our son, you know, we would love to have you home, but we know that you want to live at Judson. We know you want to be there and be with your friends. And he looked at my wife and I, and he said, we haven't lived here long enough for me to call this home. Judson's my home. And that's exactly how we feel. The community here at Judson is amazing. They're incredible. From Dr. Krum and Cindy all the way down the line. Everybody here is absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful. The way that I actually said this to my wife the other day when we were talking about Judson, I said, these people walk the talk. And that's what happens here at Judson. You walk the talk. And that's why we love Judson, and that's why we support Judson, and that's why we will continue to support Judson and love this school. And this honor is just amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you all so very much.
One more brief recognition, then I'm going to ask Trustee Cindy Hogue to come up and close our program and say a prayer. Just a reminder that Monday of this week, we honor Dr. Stuart Ryder. 5 years ago in 2018, we announced the Doc Ryder Day of Service to be instituted the Monday of Founders Day week. Doc Ryder knew his greatest ministry was not his teaching, it was his serving. The teaching, coaching, and training were roles that allowed positional access to influence young people through leadership and education. But where Doc discipled and mentored was through serving the students and serving alongside the students. During this special day, we invited the Judson community to join us in acts of service to the greater community as evidenced by our faith. We encourage people to find their own act of service, much like Doc Ryder would have inspired. But that's also because nobody could tell Doc Ryder to do anything, so Doc would want to do it on his own. And so that's why in the spirit of Doc Ryder, we encourage people, find how Doc would speak to you and go and serve that way with that heart. And so that was this past Monday. It's been a great Founders Day week. We have the summit coming up here shortly, as well as some other events and programs. Thank you for spending this Friday with us. And we're going to turn it over to Trustee Cindy Hogue for announcements and our closing prayer.
Hello, everyone. So the Presidential Summit meeting will begin at 1:30 in the Thompson Center Thulin Auditorium. Trustee committee meetings will begin following the summit at 2:45 in Creekside in the classrooms. Signs are posted around the buildings. This year's Golden Eagle Award recipient and family, along with all the previous Golden Eagle recipients, please come to the banner immediately after the prayer for photos. Additionally, we would like to take photos of the Matai and Colburn families as well with your awards. Bow your heads with me. Father God, thank you for being here in this room with your Holy Spirit. It is for you and through you that everything exists, and we are your grateful daughters and sons. Thank you for equipping and inspiring Judson's founders 60 years ago as they followed your lead to create this beautiful school where lives are shaped. Thank you for allowing those in leadership here to serve you as we help encourage students to use their gifts to fulfill your purpose for their lives and become faithful ambassadors for you and your kingdom. Thank you for this hour where we could gather together in community to share our stories, to fellowship together, bestow honors, and most of all, praise you. Because of Christ and in his name, amen.